Muy buenos días. Ah, mis amigos. Qué bien. I did not know you were bilingual. This is awesome. Well, by the end of this, you're really going to be bilingual because we're going to be switching from English to Spanish, and you'll be able to keep up. I am so thrilled to be here with you. This is an exciting day for all of us, and I'd just like to acknowledge Tasha and Ovell and everyone that's made this day possible. So let's give them another round of applause. All right. As I think about our work for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how we are here to share, to learn, and to nurture our organizations moving forward, I think about the times that I am traveling across the country. Our firm has clients in 21 states in all kinds of sectors, both profit and nonprofit. Our smallest client has 50 employees. Our largest client has 6,000 employees with 5 offices around the world. And I do a lot of these types of speaking engagements, and I love it because I get to meet a lot of new people and engage in conversations. And inevitably, the questions that I get at the end really surround 3 questions. One is, how do I make the conversation about diversity and equity real? What does it really mean? It's important to me, it's important to my organization, but I am afraid. I feel like I don't have the right vocabulary. I feel like I'm going to say something wrong, or I'm going to be offensive in some way. So how do I get comfortable with doing that? The second question is, we talk a lot about systems, we talk a lot about processes, we talk a lot about sustainability and these big picture macro concepts. But what does it really mean at an individual level? What does it really mean to me? And how do I make this real as an HR individual, as a DE&I practitioner, just as an employee of my company? How do I make this real? And how do I make it real for others in the organization? And then the third question is, where do we go from here? Now what do I do? So we're going to touch upon those 3 questions in the short time that we are together. And I'll offer a 3-concept model that you can engage, you can connect, and you can power up to move your organization in the D&I space forward. So this is not going to be a big macro discussion. Ovell did a great job in talking about the organization, the systems, the processes. We're going to get down to reality. How does it feel? What does it look like? And what do I do when I'm in this situation? Now, all of you come from different companies, and your companies are probably at a very different stage in the journey. Some of you may be starting that journey. Others are well into probably a 3-5-year strategic plan. And others are looking at metrics. What impact are we having? Wherever you are, hopefully this model will be able to help you as practitioners advance the conversation in your organizations. Am I clicking? So let's start with some alignment. The fact of the matter is that we are a diverse society. Can we all agree on that? Can we all agree on that? Yes. All right. So I would like for you to look at your table and make eye contact with every single person at that table. 5 seconds. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, Okay. Okay, stop. All right. How did that feel? Yeah? How did that feel? Hold on. A little awkward first, but it was good. How else did it feel? Awkward. Awkward, the prevailing word? Yeah? Sorry? Beautiful eyes. I love that. All right? Yeah, it felt a little odd, right? I don't know these people. Why am I staring at them? Why are they staring at me? All right? But the fact of the matter is that we are a diverse society. Once we acknowledge that, we begin to value it. And so if we start there in alignment, we're 50% of the way to doing this work. When we talk about doing DE&I work, what is our focus? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to increase our diversity? And when we say that, we're talking about representation. Who's in the room? Who's at the meeting table? Who is part of our organization? Or are we talking about equity, meaning access to all the benefits that your organization brings? Or are we talking about inclusion? Yeah, we're all here, we're all diverse, but is everybody participating? Is everybody participating in the operations of the organization? Or are we talking about belonging? That sense that's indescribable that you feel as part of an organization. You don't have to describe it, you just feel it and you know it. That you belong, and it feels good, right? It feels good to belong. The other question is, what are we trying to impact? Are we trying to impact our culture? Are we trying to transform it? Are we trying to keep up with the changes that are happening all around us? We've all talked about disruption, we all talked about chaos, and that has an impact on our culture. Is that what we're trying to do? Hello, all right? Or are we utilizing diversity, equity, and inclusion as a means to get business results? We have to be really clear about that. What are we? What is our intention? What is the impact that we want to create? Or do we really understand that DE&I is absolutely necessary for corporate sustainability in the world that we now live in? Tasha said I was going to get real and practical. Here we are, all right? So once we align on those, we can now begin to look at what this work really means. So I'd like to focus on three little concepts. One is connect, the other is engage, and the other one is power up. So what do I mean when I say connect? In 20 years of doing this, one thing that I have learned is that DE&I will not be successful unless the individual understands what it means to them. Because if you understand what it means to you, you're going to be able to articulate it. You're going to be able to create your own words and not memorize somebody else's words. So you're going to be able to speak from your heart, from internally, of what this means. We all say we want to create room for these difficult conversations. But if we don't start with the easy ones, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get to those hard ones. So first of all, we have to connect with ourselves. What does it really mean to us? All right? And what do these words actually mean? They're big ones. They're guiding principles, okay? They involve a lot of things. But how do we break them down so that I can say diversity to me means acknowledging that we're all unique, that we're all different, and we bring value. Pretty simple, right? We don't need this highfalutin definition. But what does it mean to me? And when somebody asks you, are you comfortably saying those words coming out of your mouth? And if we are processing this and we are thinking about the words, the natural progression is, do I really believe it? Do I really believe that it has value? And if I believe it, I'm going to be committed to it in some shape, way, or form. Yes? Hello? Are we here? Yeah? They told me to get real. Get real. All right? So that is connecting with ourselves first. The next is engage. That is getting out of our comfort zone, getting out of our bubble, getting out of the safe space. So what are we doing to engage with others? Right? What are we doing to learn about someone else's culture, their experiences, their identities? Are we willing to engage in learning their stories? And most importantly, are we willing to engage and be vulnerable to share ours? Tasha, you rocked my boat this morning by being very transparent, all right? So it's important to share who we are and be authentic about sharing our stories. How do we engage with our organizations? Do we come in and out of the workplace, do our job, this is it, I'm done, I'm out of here? Or do we engage some way with the culture? How do we add to our organizational culture? If somebody were to ask you, how would you define the culture at your organization? Anyone, what would you say? One word, what would you say? Anybody? Don't be shy, we're all friends. One word to describe your organization. Anybody? Sorry? Faith. Okay, what else? Safe. All right, what else? Let's one or two more. Authentic, great. Another word. Conflict. Complex. You're all right. You're all correct. And so how we see our organization is how we're going to talk about it to others. And so how do we engage with that? How do we engage with the values of our organization that are on our website? They may be, outlined when you come in through the doors or on the factory floor. Do we ascribe to those? Are they aligned with our values? Right? And trust. Is it a trusting organization? Right? Do I trust it? Do I trust that culture? Right? And what do I do to place a tax on trust, meaning eroding trust? Or what do I do with my behaviors and motivations to create a dividend of trust, meaning increasing it? All right? So how are we engaging with our organization? And how are we engaging with community? All right? Are we getting really out of our comfort zones? It can be as simple as attending festivals, attending a different restaurant, creating those authentic relationships. And are you curious? Do you want to learn? All right? So when we talk about engagement, as you are seeing, it starts with us and what we are willing to do, how we are willing to step out of that comfort zone. Let's go to the next one. So what do I mean by powering up? What I mean by powering up is increasing your knowledge. Increasing your knowledge of your organization's DE&I efforts. What have they done in the past? What are they currently doing now? And what do they plan to do in the future? When we had the awful experience of the George Floyd murders, I received, no joke, more than 20, 30 calls from organizations that I've never talked to. And all of a sudden, they wanted to put together a D&I statement for their website and making a statement of this horrific event. And I said, thank you, I'm so glad that you reached out, but what have you done in the past that would authenticate this statement? What have you done to show that this isn't just a knee-jerk reaction? Well, it's the right thing to do. Yes, it may be, but would it be viewed as authentic, not just by the external market, but by your own employees, right? So what are you doing? What have you done? And what are you thinking about doing? I'm working with an organization right now who is in the financial services industry, less than 100 people out in the West Coast. 5 of them have worked together for 1 year on their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, all right? And now they feel ready to bring it out to the rest of the organization. What do you think is gonna happen? They're be the only ones that have been working on this, right? Is it gonna be shock? Is it gonna be like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, how come we were doing this? How come I didn't know, right? And so we need to ask ourselves, what are we doing? And are we communicating what we're doing? Are we being transparent about what we are doing, right? So that we can bring others along, so that we can combat this D&I fatigue that many are feeling across the country. So it's very important for us to create that awareness. So all of you that are in ERG groups, committees, groups, book clubs, et cetera, in your organizations, how are you communicating your activities to the rest of the organization? And I'm gonna switch the order here. So when I talk about powering up, we need to evaluate our systems, our processes, and our structures. Processes and systems and structures were established to gain a result at the end of that, right? In a manufacturing process, right, you've got raw materials, you put them through the line, at the end, you get a desk, you get a chair, you get a car. When we are looking at organizations and working with people, all right, it doesn't work that way, right? But are the systems that we currently have in place, are we looking at them from the lens of them allowing for full participation of everyone in the organization? And if they're not, how do we go about changing those systems and having really focused, deliberate, diligent approach to this? We cannot change it all at once. But if we set our expectations in a realistic manner of what we can actually do, then we will achieve results. But we can't do everything, and we can't do it all at the same time. That's why CEOs all over the country are very frustrated with their DE&I progress, because we are not setting the expectations for the resources and abilities that we have to get it done, all right? And so it's very important when you're powering up to power up that knowledge and build that knowledge. And lastly, we can't do it alone. We cannot do this work alone. We must collaborate. Yes, the board, the CEO, management team, and on down the line in your hierarchy. It takes all of us. It takes all of us to do this work. But I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Remember, if you don't remember anything else from me today, please remember this. Yes, the board allows the vision, the CEO carries the vision, the executive team brings it down. But it's that middle management. It's that rung of middle managers that are really going to be the ones that are going to be effective to have your DE&I initiative move forward. Why do I say that? Because they are the ones that are touching base with the major portion of your employee base. So if they don't get it, if they don't assimilate it, and they don't feel it and believe it, do you think their teams are going to? So it's very important for us as DE&I practitioners, right, in moving this work forward to help and bring, right, that connection, that engagement, that powering up to our middle managers so that we can then progress this way forward. So it takes collaboration, right? It's up to us. It's really up to us. We are the catalyst for advancing DE&I work. I am passionate about this work. I've devoted my life to this work. And when I see progress, I go, wow, that is so cool. So I get excited about being a catalyst for advancing DE&I work. And the way we can do that is to establish common ground. So why did I have you look at each other? Some of you may have known each other, some of you may not. But you know what? You're gonna remember that look. So when you're out there at lunch, say hello, stop, talk, get to know each other. Build that common ground and cultivate it. Lastly, lift people up. This is hard work. I won't kid you. But it makes it easier when we're doing it together, and when we're being authentic, and when we're giving grace to each other. We are going to make mistakes, y'all. I was in Texas giving a training, and I learned it, and I love it. So I asked them if I could use it. They said, absolutely. Said, y'all is you, y'all is all of you. So it takes all of us, right? But it hinges on trust. It hinges on trust. It hinges on strengthening relationships and nurturing the culture that you strive for. And lastly, advocate for respect. We are all human beings. We all feel. We all hurt. We all experience joy, right? Advocate for respect. Advocate for dignity of the individual, right? And by doing that, we will create authentic spaces in which then we can proceed to try to have those difficult conversations, because we got to get to know each other first before we get there, all right? So in closing, did I get too real? Good. Did we get practical? Right? Enjoy your day. So engage, connect, and power up. Muchas gracias.